Alright, what's going on, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy. I'm going to be doing my Angel EDH deck tech for you guys, my Avacyn Angel of Hope, or my Tracy Angel of Selfies. My friend made this for me and it's really great. So this is my deck tech. I'm going to be filming it in a different way because my camera was being weird. Filming it, let me know how you guys like this, but yeah, so this deck I've had for a while. It was one of the first EDH decks I ever built, and it means a lot to me. It's mono white, and there's a lot of really awesome creatures in here. It's Angel Tribal. It's got a lot of board wipes, a lot of removal, things like that. The deck is just super fun to play. It's gotten a lot more powerful as I've edited the deck. It still needs a little bit of work, still needs a little bit of mana ramp and things like that, but I am really happy with this deck and it's just a ton of fun. As always, the deck list will be linked down below so that you can check it out yourself. Yeah, okay, cool, so let's get started. So the deck runs 29 basic lands. It runs plains. I have all of like the fuller lands from Battle for Zendikar because I think they're really cool and really pretty. My favorite art is it's this one right here, the purple one. I think it's really cool. So it runs 29 of those, and then it runs a couple of other specialty lands. So first runs Amara the Sky Ruin. This card, I don't really draw it a lot, so I don't really know how well it plays. There's not a lot of things that really die in this deck because it's really hard to like kill stuff. So I don't really know how well this card works, but I'm pretty sure it's really sweet. I think if you're running like mono white in EDH and you have a lot of basic plains, you're probably going to want to pick this card up because it's basically just like a free, like, you know, you get something back each turn. So the card seems really sweet. Next land it runs is Kabara Crossroads. This card is nothing really fancy, but it gains life, and this deck has quite a bit of life gain in it, so it's a nice land that does that. Then I have New Benalia. Basically, this card just allows me to scry. Yeah, it comes in tapped, but I don't really care too much. The deck wants to do quite a bit of filtering because it, you know, like a lot of times you're like, wow, I have two, you know, 7-drop angels in my hand. I really don't want to have one on top of my library when I only have like 6 mana. So, you know, the deck wants to do a little bit of filtering and control and manipulation with what it draws. So that's that. Then it runs a Seraph Sanctuary because, again, it is Angel Tribal and it has life gain, so this card's really perfect for it. I just got it recently. This is one of my most recent additions in the collection. It's a foil. It's really pretty. Then it runs Temple of the False God, pretty standard land, but it's super, super good in EDH and really awesome in this deck when, you know, it's going to want to have a lot of lands and it wants to have a lot of mana because there's high mana cost stuff in this deck. And lastly, it runs Windbrisk Heights. Basically, card is really, really good. I find that it's pretty difficult to pull off a lot of times because the deck doesn't have, like, it has like 4 creatures, but 33 if you don't count Avacyn. So it runs quite a bit of creatures, but, you know, I'm not really too sure how I love Windbrisk Heights. I played with it in Modern when I played Black-White Token, so the card is really strong. I just don't know how I love it in this deck because I think that a lot of times it just sits there and it doesn't really do anything for me. I don't want to take it out, but I gotta find a way to maybe make some more creature tokens or things like that on the deck. Okay, so that is it for lands. Total, it runs, let me see, is it 35 or 36? It runs 35. 35 is kind of my standard for lands. I know a lot of people like 36, 37, 38. It totally depends on the deck. Totally depends, like a deck like Omnath. My Omnath EDH deck runs more lands because it's a lands deck, and things like that. So, now we're gonna do the enchantments. There's only 2 in the deck. The first one is Oblivion Ring. You know me. I love Oblivion Ring. It's one of my all-time favorite Magic cards. I have a collection of Oblivion Rings. I actually collect them. This is my favorite art, the Lorwyn art, and this one is Japanese or Chinese? I think this one's Japanese. This one's my favorite art, the Lorwyn one. I had a foil one of these a bit ago, but I don't have that anymore, so I want to get a foil one of this in the future, but it's like $7, which is just crazy expensive, but yeah, that card's really good. It just takes care of basically anything that you need it to. Then it runs True Conviction. I mean, you know, a lot of times you just have Avacyn and True Conviction out, and your opponents just don't win, because you're like, cool, my stuff's indestructible, and then I'm gonna swing at you with a 16/16 lifelink Avacyn a lot of people just don't recover from that. One more hit from Avacyn and they're just dead via commander damage. They can have a lot of life, but it doesn't really matter because, you know, Avacyn, like, I'm really noticing more and more I'm killing a lot of people with just commander damage with Avacyn because she's just so big. You know, Avacyn's just one of those cards, like, the deck spends, you know, its early game, like, building up and mana ramping and things like that, but then the late game, it just is such a good time with the late game because you play these really big threats and a lot of times you just play Avacyn and they just die. So, card's super good. Then the deck runs 2 instants. The first one it runs is Condemn. This would ideally be a Path to Exile, but you know what, honestly, it's fine. I don't want to run both simply because the deck has so many board wipes, which you're going to see when we get to sorceries. And, you know, probably going to want to route for this deck. That card is really good. Because it's an instant speed, you know, board wipe, which is super good. The deck runs a lot of board wipes because if you have Avacyn out, everyone else's board dies but yours, which is super awesome. Which is the advantage of running a lot of board wipes with Avacyn, if you plan on playing her a lot. But Condemn is super good because it just takes care of something that may have, you know, Indestructible as well. There's a lot of people out there who want to copy Avacyn because, let's be real here, she's a really good card and other people want it, so this is a really good way if someone is greedy and decides to attack with her. You can just, you know, put their, like, clone or whatever on the bottom of their library. So, the card is super good in the game life, but you don't really care. Then it runs, Fate Forgotten. This is one of my favorite little hidden gems of a Magic card because, you know, the deck does run on board wipes, which you will see, and we talked about that, but it's always really good to have things that exile, and I like that it's exile target artifact or enchantment. It's just kind of another sort of Oblivion Ring kind of filler card, and I like it. I think it's good. Then the deck runs 2 Planeswalkers. The first one it runs is a Johnny, Color of the Pride, and I actually was thinking of taking this card out, but it's been way too useful to me. Because, you know what? If you get his plus a couple of times and then someone swings at him, he's kind of hard to kill because, you know, your whole board's indestructible a lot of the time, so you're like, cool, I can just block with my angel, whatever. But the fact that if you even just give Avacyn, you know, if a Johnny's close to dying because someone's swinging at it, you're like, cool, give Avacyn, you know, double strike, and, you know, she's already got flying, but you just swing, and again, a lot of times they're just dead off commander damage, so he's super good. I have yet to get his ult off because, you know, it's super hard, you know, to get Planeswalker's ult unless you're playing, like, Super Friends, but, you know, his ult seems super sweet and very relevant. And then we have Elspeth's Sun's Champion, who's just one of my all-time favorite Planeswalkers. She's amazing. You know, the fact that her plus is super relevant, she makes you dudes, which you love. Her -3 is amazing. You're like, cool, blow up a lot of things. Yeah. And then her minus, which I have gotten off before, is amazing. The fact that you give your stuff +2/+2. The flying isn't super relevant, but it does give those tokens that she makes flying, which is really good. A lot of this deck gets flying, as you're gonna see with the creatures, but she's super, super good. I love Elspeth so much. Now we're going to talk about the sorceries. So this is where we talk about board wipe land. First we have Akroma's Vengeance, one of the all-time best board wipes ever. It gets rid of artifacts, creatures, and enchantments, and you can cycle it. There have been times where I have had more than one board wipe in my hand and no reason to use them, so sometimes you're just like, man, cycle it. I get to draw a card. Seems okay. Then we have Day of Judgment. Yeah, you know, sometimes you just gotta wipe the board because you're really mad. Then, End Hostilities, super, super good, because the fact that it gets rid of all creatures and permanents attached to them, so someone's like got a Swiftfoot Boots or a Lightning Greaves, something like that on it, you're just like, meh, nope. Get rid of that. Then I have Entreat the Angels, which was kind of a recent addition in the collection, but I decided to get this card because you know, I thought that sometimes it's in the late game and I've got a ton of mana and nothing really to do with it, and if you miracle this card, because it doesn't have that much card draw, it is a little bit, but, you know, I thought this card would just be really good for it because you can miracle it, or if not, you just have it in your hand and you just make a bunch of, you know, 4/4 angels and they can't really do anything about it, so the card is super good. This is a spot filler because I kind of just need it to be a different card, but I had to take out Path to Exile for my modern deck, so I had a Gift of Estates kind of just chilling around, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll put this card in my hand. I've played with this card in the past. It's not that it's bad, I just took it out for other, you know, things that get me lands, but the card is pretty good. It does require, you know, your opponent to have more lands than you, but you know what, you're running white, so you don't have that many ways to manipulate your mana. So like if someone's like, cool, I'm playing green, I've got a bunch of lands, you're just like, cool, you know, get more lands. So that card's pretty good. Then I have Mass Calcify, which is one of my all-time favorite board wipes. Yes, it's 7 mana, but this card is super good in a desperate situation where you have a bunch of creatures, and you don't have Avacyn out. And you're like, okay, well, I really need to blow up the board. And this card blows up a lot of people's other, you know, a lot of your opponent's boards a lot of the times, but it doesn't blow up yours if your opponent's playing other colors, so card is really good. Then it runs Planar Cleansing, which is really, really amazing because, you know, it gets rid of everything. You're like, I don't like your artifacts, your enchantments, your creatures, whatever. It just gets rid of anything that's not a land. And if you have Avacyn out, card's just so nuts. Alright, so I threw in a Planar Outburst in this deck because I was like, why not? I think this card would just be really funny a weekend because you kill someone's board and then, you know, you get a land creature. I think that card is just really, really awesome. Or you can just blow it up, pop it for 5 mana. And then the deck runs Wrath of God because sometimes you gotta kill things and sometimes you gotta really make sure they don't get regenerated. Okay, now we're gonna go into artifacts. So the first one we have is Angel's Feather because, again, life gain. Super relevant. Then it runs Expedition Map, which is really, really awesome because you play this early game and then you get like your Temple of the False God or one of your fancy lands or anything like that, or you play it late game and then you've got a lot of lands and things in your graveyard and you're like, cool, we'll get, you know, Amara the Sky Ruin with it, so the card is really good. Mind Stone is actually a recent addition to this collection. I figured, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw it in this deck because it's a mana rock, and you know what, if you have a lot of mana, which you may in this deck, you know, get it a lot of times, because sometimes I do get flooded. I mean, it's every deck, but, you know, sometimes it's just nice to filter it, and then, you know, you get to draw a card. Mind's Eye. Okay, I just got this card pretty recently. I've only had it out once since I've gotten it, but so far, card seems amazing. The fact that whenever your opponent draws a card, so keep in mind that if they're playing a deck and they draw a ton of cards, you're like, cool, you draw one card, cool, I get to draw a card. They draw another card, you're like, cool, I'm gonna draw another card. Like, it's just so, so, so good. Something to do with your mana, you know, and something that filters your card draws. Card is just really, really strong, and I like it a lot so far. Then we have Pearl Medallion, kind of an essential, you know, medallion cards are some of my favorites for monocolored decks because they make things just cost less, so card's super good. Then I have Scroll of Avacyn. I like this card, you know, it's by no means amazing, but I do really like it. I think that it's good because you get to draw a card. Sometimes I just savagely just sack this to draw a card. Sometimes I do that. And if you have an angel, you gain 5 life, so card's super good. One of my all-time favorite cards is Seer Sundial, because, you know what? You play a land and you get super flooded, and you're like, cool, draw a card. It's nothing fancy. Speaking of nothing fancy, Soul Ring, great card. Run it. Staff of Nin. Yo, I love this card. Can I tell you guys how much I love this card? Because I love this card a lot. It just does everything. It pings things. It's like, you guys, like, you're like 1 damage to a creature play. That doesn't seem relevant. But then you're like, it kills so many things. It kills their Eternal Witness. It kills their Snapcaster Mage. It just kills so many things. Card's great, and it draws you cards. I love it. Swiftfoot Boots. EDH staple. Love that card. Sword of the Animist. I really, really like this card a lot. The +1/+1 is not super relevant, but the fact that it filters and thins through your deck and you get basic lands to the battlefield tapped, you know, super, super great thing to have early game. I love it. Thoran Dynamo is one of, like, my all-time favorite cards because it's just a mana rock. It just gets you mana. It's just super good. Traveler's Amulet. Really good. Card filter. Urza's Incubator, really, really awesome. I was really happy that this card got reprinted, because I finally picked one up. Yeah, it's super good for tribal decks because it makes them cost less. Nothing fancy, but a really, really good card. Wayfarer's Bauble, you know, card, you know, basic lands, filtering, things like that, super good. Then we have World Slayer, which is a card that I've really yet to draw in this deck, and I'm actually pretty sad that I haven't drawn it. But you know what? It's a super, super mean card. But you know what? It's a lot of mana, and I wanted to do something fun, and I thought this would be a good thing. So I have yet to draw it, which makes me really sad. But you know, I'm really hoping one day I can just kill people with this card because it's so funny. Guys, you blow up everyone's board. You blow up their lands. It's so mean. Okay, now we move on to the creatures. We've got 34 in this deck. Okay. The first, also, you're gonna note that I have a lot of foreign language cards in this deck. I have a lot of foreign language angels. I went to this card store one time and they just happened to have so many, so I picked up a lot of them. I'm not gonna read them all because that would just take a while, but I do have them in my tapped out list if you want to check out what they do. Aegis Angel cards probably potentially may come out in the future, I'm not really sure, but it is really strong when you, you know, like, you don't have Avacyn out and you're like, well, I really need to make something else indestructible. Super good. Then we have a Chroma. I'm really, really happy about her because I got a Chinese Chroma and she makes me really happy. This I did not actually get at the card store. I got this from a friend. Card just does everything. It's got like Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Haste, Pro Black, and Pro Red, if I'm like remembering all this correctly. She does a lot of things. She kills a lot of things and she's really good. Then we have Anafenza. I like Anafenza. I think she's a really good early drop. She's double white, but you don't even care about that in this deck. And the fact that, you know, the deck runs like a lot of it doesn't run a lot of non-tokens, so that's not super relevant. But the fact that you just get to bolster things and, you know, it's pretty good. I like it. I've drawn it a couple of times. One of my all-time favorite cards in this deck that stops so many people is Angel of Jubilation. If you're playing mono white EDH, may I recommend this card to you because, you know, the whole stacking creatures to cast spells or activate abilities basically just shuts some people down. Like, they just can't play their deck. The art is beautiful. I love Teresa Nielsen's art. Hers is just some of my all-time favorites. And just cards just all around absolutely fantastic. And it gives your dudes buffs. Like, how can you go wrong? Then we have Angel of Serenity. Yeah, you know, this card's really good. It exiles things, which is really, really awesome. I didn't even realize, wow, this exiles things from graveyards too. That's, like, really strong. And the fact that if she's got Indestructible with Avacyn, you know, people have a hard time killing her, and she's just all around really, really good. So, I like her. This is a card that saved my butt so many times. Angel of the Dire Hour. Someone goes into swing with their things. Someone's like, cool, I copy your Avacyn, my board's indestructible. You just flash an Angel of the Dire Hour. Just card all around, does everything. I love this card so much. Angelic Arbiter. Yeah, this card's really, really good. It's like a silent arbiter, but it doesn't hurt you. And the fact that your opponents basically just have to choose between attacking with creatures or casting spells. So puts them in a predicament. Card's really amazing. Then we have Angelic Field Marshal, which is super, super sweet. You're gonna have Avacyn out a lot of the time. If not, it's just a 4-mana 3/3 with flying, which is amazing. The fact that if you have your commander, all of your creatures get +2/+2 and a vigilance. This is like always watching on a stick. I love it. The card's nuts. Angelic Skirmisher. So something I really love about Angelic Skirmisher is if you have vigilance from, say, something like Angelic Field Marshal or whatever, or you give your creatures vigilance, each combat step you get to pick something, so you can give something like flying, what is it? I think it's flying, First Strike, or lifelink. Flying, vigilance, or First Strike, I think it is, or lifelink, whatever, I don't remember. But yeah, card is super good. I like it a lot. Then we have Archangel of Ties, which I haven't really drawn that much, so I don't really know how well this card plays, but the card seems to be really good because, you know, it makes them pay for things that they weren't, you know, originally gonna pay for or whatever. So the card's really good. Then we have Archangel of Thune, which I was really, really happy that I picked this card up, traded for it, and, you know, it just does so many things. This card's just, like, nuts, and you're like, cool, I'm gonna gain life, like, you know, you got, like, Soul's Attendant or something like that out, and it's nuts. I love it. Baneslayer Angel. I mean, yeah, 5/5 flyer for 5 is amazing, but then it's got First Strike, and then it's got lifelink. And then sometimes you just really need pro Demons and Dragons. Sometimes you just really need that for their Rune-Scarred Demon or whatever, you know? Hey, you never know. Alright, then we have Blinding Angel. This is one of my all-time favorite angels, and a card that's really underrated in my opinion, because, you know, when you deal combat damage and you've got Indestructible on your board, and they just skip their combat phase, that is so devastating. And, you know, it's got flying, and sometimes people just can't answer that, or sometimes you just blow up the board because you have Avacyn out, and then you blow up their board, and then you swing, and then lose their combat. The card just so good. You know, this is a card that I potentially may take out in the future, because I have a lot of things that give Indestructible, but Deathless Angel, you know, it's pretty good when you got, like, a lot of mana open, and, like, nothing really to do with it, and you don't have Avacyn, so, you know. Then we have Amara Angel. I love this card. You know, it's so good. It's such a good body in and of itself. And then when you play lands, you just get bird tokens. Yes, please. I love this card. Then we have Amara Shepherd, which is Amara the Sky Ruin on a stick, basically. You know, I've really yet to play with her because I haven't drawn her a lot, but she seems really, really amazing. Okay, this is one of my all-time favorite Magic cards. That is Guardian of the Gateless, which I call Guardians of the Galaxy all the time. That movie's awesome. Yeah, card is insane. You know, it's super good because if you have Avacyn out, I'm pretty sure they just don't win. Because you're like, cool, I like block all your dudes for days and it doesn't die. Card is super underrated in my opinion and super great. I need to get a foil one of these. I feel like it's not that expensive, but I'm not too sure. Maybe it's expensive, who knows. Then we have Iona, card that I haven't really casted a lot, you know, card that pretty much just kills a lot of people and just shuts people out of the game because they just can't do anything really. If you're playing a monocolored deck, it's just super mean, but you know, card's really good. Then we have Karmic Guide. You know, like I said, I don't really have a thing with a lot of creatures like dying in this deck very easily, but you know, I feel like this card will be useful definitely at one point. I haven't really drawn it. Then we have Knight of the White Orchid, one of the few non-angels in this deck, but you know, a really good mana dork and a really good blocker. Then we have Linvala. Yeah, she shuts a lot of people out of the game because they can't activate their whatever. They can't activate their like mana dorks and like Elvish Mystic and like Bird's Paradise and like things like that. Card's just been really useful and definitely something that people want to like get rid of and kill as soon as they can. Card that I haven't really casted that much, but Luminous Angel. You know, makes creature tokens. It's a lot of mana for what it is though, so I'm really not sure I may take this out in the future. Another really mean card, Platinum Angel. Yeah, you know, haven't really drawn it, so I don't really know, but I'm sure this card's really amazing. You know, the fact that it just says you can't lose. Okay, this card is really nuts and really, really underrated. And this card is called Radiant Archangel, and it does a lot of things. It gets +1/+1 for each other creature with flying in play. So keep in mind that it doesn't just say on your board. Or, yeah, it doesn't say on your board. So, like, if your opponent's got, like, a lot of flyers, or like, cool, this thing gets buffs, it's got flying and vigilance. Just overall, this card is just absolutely insane. I love everything about this card. It's super sweet. Then we have Rhea Dawnbringer. You know, again, kind of a card that I haven't really like gotten the chance to play with. It's like an Amara the Sky Ruin and Amara Shepherd kind of in like one. It's a pretty cool card. It's really pretty too. I love this one. This foil is so pretty. Seraph of the Dawn is kind of just a spot filler until I get something better, but it's one of the lower costing angels. So, you know, probably something that's gonna come out in the future, but it's pretty okay. It's a nice body. Then we have Seraph of the Sword, which is absolutely nuts and absolutely insane. The fact that it's prevent all combat damage that we dealt to it, it's a blocker for days. If you've got, you know, vigilance with stuff or whatever, it just does everything. The fact that it's like 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer is already insane, and then it's got that ability tacked onto it. The card's nuts. Then we have Sarah Avenger. Yeah, this card's really, really sweet. You know, you can't cast it in the early game, but if you top deck this late game, you don't even care. The fact that it's like a 2 mana 3/3 flying and vigilance, super good. Then we have Soul Warden. Yeah, it's good. I like it. You know, you gain life. And then Soul's Attendant, because gaining life is sweet, and they do the same thing. Then we have one of my all-time favorite creatures, which is Sunblast Angel. This card is super, super good. You know, it blows up, someone taps out for something, and you're like, cool, take that damage, and then you have this creature that once it does its thing, it's a 4/5 flyer. Super amazing. Then we have Suture Priest, which is like Blood Artist and Soul's Attendant mixed into one. You know, when your opponents play creatures, you know, they like lose life. You know, oh my gosh, I'm totally thinking about, what about like if someone like Kiki Jiki'd Splinter Twin off and they're like, make infinite tokens, and you're like, cool, you lose infinite life. Yo, that'd be sweet. Do people even run Splinter Twin anymore? Who knows? In EDH, maybe. I feel like they would. Then we have Victory's Herald as the last creature. You know, this card is really good. The flying isn't super relevant because most everything has flying, but hey, sometimes you just gotta swing with your Suture Priest. Sometimes you gotta get in with that extra point of damage or something, and it gets flying, and then all your creatures get lifelink. So, you know, card is really, really strong. Alright guys, that was pretty much it. That was it for my Avacyn Angel of Hope EDH deck. This deck's a ton of fun. I love this deck a lot. It's definitely a deck that I have had for a while, a deck that I'm going to be playing for a while, and deck can only just kind of get better, and I can get more foils and foreign cards for this deck, because, you know, working through that. So, yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.